Careers in Accounting. Act for Love by Wilson Wynn. Brad, a college student, became bored with his business classes one day and instead decided he wanted to discover his purpose in life by adventuring the world. While traveling in Paris, Brad met Lacey, the daughter of a famous French baker. The two grew madly in love with one another, and Brad asked the baker for her daughter's hand in marriage. "No," shrieked the baker, as the two-letter word resounded like thunder in Brad's ears, rejecting him. Brad was just a poor college student with no career, and this was not good enough for the baker's precious daughter. Broken-hearted, Brad returned home, shut himself in his room, and became swallowed in depression. One day, he smelled an aroma of a freshly baked bread coming from the kitchen. Immediately, all of his memories from Paris returned to him. He remembered a bread recipe that he and Lacey came up with working late in her father's bakery. Suddenly, Brad had a strong urge to make that bread recipe. Day and night, Brad put all of his energy into making that bread, reliving the moments he spent with Lacey in Paris. Powered by his depression and longing for Lacey, the more focused he became on baking his bread. When Brad finally stopped, he had made way more bread than his family needed, so he decided to share it with the neighbors. Surprisingly, his bread was a huge hit with the neighbors. By word of mouth, the bread was shared with family and friends, and people began to spotlight it through use of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Before Brad could realize it, the bread was a sensation, and orders started flooding in. This new bread business breathed new life into Brad and gave him an opportunity to prove to the baker that he was worthy of Lacey's hand. So, Brad decided to take his small bread opportunity and expand it into a large bakery business. However, to do this, Brad required money. Using his knowledge from his accounting business courses, Brad prepared financial statements by putting his bread revenues and expenses into the report. Then, Brad took his financials to ask for a loan from Bob the banker and Victor the investor. Unfortunately, Brad's financials were rejected, as both Victor and Bob are cautious when it comes to spending their money. However, they both told Brad that if he had his financials audited by Ann the auditor, they could rely on the financial report. So, Brad contracted with Ann the auditor, who put on her Sherlock Holmes hat, pulled out her magnifying glass, and started to review Brad's financials in detail. Ann held a planning meeting, gathering her minions and assigning tasks to each to gain the necessary proof to support the numbers on Brad's financials. For minion number A, a sample of revenue transactions were selected and vouched against the purchase order, invoice, and delivery support to confirm revenues. For minion number B, an inventory observation was performed to gain comfort over the balance of inventory. And for minion number C, a sample of expense transactions were selected and vouched against the invoice and payment to confirm there were no outstanding bills existing. Ann's minions present the proof of their procedures in work papers to Ann, who then carefully investigates through reviews to confirm if they properly support reported amounts. After a series of additional questions and additional support obtained, Ann confirms that Brad's financials are accurately stated. Bob and Victor now rely on the financials and provide Brad with the required money for his bakery. Woohoo! Success! A year goes by, and Brad's bakery is finished and the sales steadily climb. Now, he officially has become Brad the Baker. However, one day, Cody, a loyal customer, notices the sadness that still resides in Brad's eyes. Cody asks Brad, "Your business is a success, so why are you still sad?" Brad could not hold the tears back anymore and explained to Cody, "I still miss my love, Lacey, and now that I'm successful, I have to remain here at my bakery to run it, and I can't go see her in Paris." Cody replies, "Brad, today is your lucky day, sir. I am Cody the consultant, and my focus is on using cloud computing to manage business processes. With my assistance, you could be in Paris with Lacey and still run your business back home. Really? Exclaims Brad. That sounds amazing. Brad jumps with happiness and gives Cody a big hug. Working together, Brad and Cody the consultant design a website that takes online orders. Also, a camera is installed to monitor the store's operations remotely. He links the point-of-sale system to the online cloud program, and now, when a customer spends money, Brad will see the transaction occur and the money hit the account. Now, Brad has observation over all of the important inputs behind his sales, bills, and inventory. Now, all Brad has to do is hire a store manager to help with the day-to-day operations and monitor the business online. Excited, Brad feels his freedom is once more regained, and he begins to get ready to dash off to Paris to once more unite with his love, Lacey. Life is great, and Brad could not be happier. Unfortunately, another roadblock challenges Brad's happiness as a knock raps on Brad's door. A mean IRS agent emerges, demanding huge sums of money for supposedly unpaid taxes. Brad begins to stress and have nightmares that his bakery is going to be ruined by this IRS. He begins to have flashbacks to losing his love for Lacey. So, scared of losing his bakery, he begins to try to tackle the tax forms and terminology of the confusing IRS, but it's too much for him to understand. Confused, Brad realizes that he needs someone that knows taxes and remembers his quiet friend, Tom, who is a super tax man. Brad shares his concerns with Tom the tax man. Using his knowledge of the rules and regulations, Tom puts up an amazing fight with the IRS agent to protect Brad's business. Additionally, Tom provides guidance to Brad through the maze of tax forms to maximize Brad's tax savings. Finally, relief. Brad's life is again greatly improved by the valuable assistance of Ann the auditor, Cody the consultant, and Tom the taxman. He got the money to build his bakery, can manage his business remotely, and can keep more earnings. Ultimately, he can now be with his love, Lacey. Now, it is your turn to turn another broken-hearted Brad into a happy, successful individual right now. You can be Ann the auditor to assist entrepreneurs with financial statements, Cody the consultant to increase business efficiencies, or Tom the taxman to protect people's earnings from the IRS. In any case, act now for love.